Carolyn Dorin-Ballard has had an incredible career, achieving almost every imaginable goal in bowling. But ever since she won the title in 2001, another Queen's Championship has eluded her. She is the #1 seed tonight and needs only to win one match for her second Queen's title. And it begins now. Welcome inside the International Bowling Training and Research Center in Arlington, Texas, on the campus of the United States Bowling Congress. This is the USBC Queens. Hello again, everybody. I'm Dave Lamont. Thank you very much for joining us, and you are in for a treat. This is one of two women's majors on the calendar, and the field is Sterling. Let's meet them right now.
Hi, I'm Josie Earnest, the #5 seed from Nashville, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt University.
In the first match, she bowls me, Liz Johnson from Cheektowaga, New York.
And the winner of that match faces me, Diandra Asbaty from Chicago, Illinois.
The semifinal match will be the winner of that match versus me, Stefanie Nation from Grand Prairie, Texas.
And for the championship match for the 2012 Queens Tournament presented by Storm, the winner will meet me, CDB.
It's the classic stepladder format. Who has the advantage? Does Carolyn Dorin-Ballard have it because she waits and only has to bowl one match? Or is it better to try to run the table, as Liz Johnson and Josie Earnest will have the opportunity to do? As always, I'm delighted to bring in my partner, Chris Barnes, multiple titleist on the PBA Tour and holder of many major championships. So we've got such experience here, past champions in Liz and Carolyn, and 3 players seeking that first major.
Well, we're going to see first Josie Earnest. She's won at every level. All she did in her first Queens is make the TV show. But later on, we're going to see Diandra Asbaty, and she's been part of Team USA for the better part of 10 years, and she's been on this show as the leader before, and the #2 seed, Stefanie Nation. All she did was be the leader in average for the whole field.
#1 seed is Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, and she is over with Kathy Doran-Lizzie, who's our laneside reporter tonight. Kathy?
No stranger to TV. You again? Well, 11 years ago, you were in the same position. You led the Queens. You won it that year, but it has been 11 years. The game has changed. Have you?
Heck no. I mean, look at me. Come on. Do I look like I've changed? No. Yeah, a couple things have changed. I've had a daughter since then, so my priorities have changed a little bit, but my competitiveness is still there, and I'm willing to change with the game, and I've made some changes to bowl well this week, and hopefully I can continue for one more game.
Going to teach these girls some lessons?
Absolutely. Heck, I could be their mom, for God's sake.
Thanks, Carolyn. Back to you, Dave.
All right, thank you both very much. In case you didn't figure that out, they're sisters. Chris, take us through the lane conditions here at the International Training and Research Center.
Well, as you can see, it's a 41-foot pattern, and they're using infinity. The girls tonight, 4 of them are going to play a little bit right of the second arrow. They're going to play right in this little arrow right through here. Now, Diandra, she's going to be a little bit deeper, and she's going to move into here right from the get-go. The key is going to be, can Diandra take advantage of what the other 4 girls are breaking down?
All right, Liz Johnson, the #4 seed, has decided to go first. And Chris, what about her keys to victory for what seems like yet another title when we talk about such an accomplished player?
Well, Liz, if she can get out of the gates fast, she's an experienced player. She's been here before, and Josie's going to have nerves. There's just no way around it. It's her first show. So if she can get out of the gates fast, put a lot of pressure on it, gives her a huge advantage.
And through the face on the first ball here, and leaves a very difficult 3-6, 9-10. And there is Josie Earnest, who's an assistant coach at Vanderbilt University, and she got to watch this.
Well, this is exactly what she didn't want to do. She got this one off target. She said right before the show, it's all about shot making right now. The lanes aren't real easy. They will get a little better as the telecast progresses, but she makes shots early. She felt like she would come out on top. She's got good ball reaction.
4 major championships. She won this in 2009 in Reno, Nevada. And no problem on the conversion. That's a classic example of shot making.
And just a little bit fortunate when they're this tight down lane. There's a lot of oil down lane. 41 feet. There's just not much time on this pro-am lane surface for your ball to hook. She was trying to hit just on the right side of the 3-pin. She actually hit on the inside, the left side, and was able to get everything to go back.
So here's Josie Earnest, the 5th seed. Ten straight back, and her path to making this show, Chris, was absolutely unbelievable. The women she had to beat.
It was murderer's row. She started out with Kim Terrell-Kearney, then went to Kelly Kulik. She lost to Carolyn Dorin-Ballard in a 10th frame match. She got the first one, the 10th, and needed the second one, couldn't get it. Went to the loser's bracket, beats Leanne, then Olivia Sandom, and then the 4-person roll-off to make the show. The person she had to knock out there, the defending champion, Missy Parkin.
You're talking about Hall of Famers and major champions, and Olivia Sandom is a tremendous player. What a start for Earnest with a double. All right, so much for the nerves, huh?
Well, you know, honestly, this is what we expected Liz to come out and do, is come out, make great shots early, put pressure on the rookie, and Josie's doing the same thing she's done all the way through match play. She hasn't worried about who she's bowling or what the names are or what they've accomplished in the past.
Well, she averaged a little bit over, almost 215, really, to round it up. Liz was 7-1 in match play, had to come out of the loser's bracket, and man, did she ever come out of that loser's bracket. A noticeable adjustment on that shot there by Liz Johnson. Let's take a look at her path. She actually lost her first match, but let's analyze exactly what you see here in Liz.
Well, a simple 4-step approach, classic. She posts up nearly every shot, and she's right in the perfect balance point as she goes into her final step. Posting on one foot, that back foot's down. That keeps your head from going over your knee and losing leverage. Don't mistake lack of revolutions for a lack of a powerful ball.
There's no lack of power in that, so she doubles back. And we've got a nice little match here early.
Well, this is a nice recovery from the first shot. Cross about the 7th board, a little light. Head pin goes to the wall, knocks out the 4, and takes out the 7 as well. She's got very heavy ball roll.
So right back at Josie Earnest. We'll see how she responds. 7 pin's going to stay there.
This is essentially the same shot as the head pin comes off the wall, though it just misses the 7 as it went right through there instead of knocking it over like Liz's did. Very much the same shot. Josie's playing a couple of boards deeper on the lane, so she has a little less angle going through the pins.
No trouble, and she is joined in the audience today by her parents who made the trip into Arlington, Texas. It's Larry and Lisa Earnest. And Kyle Barnes is the gentleman in the checked shirt right there. And he is her boyfriend and also been helping her with ball selections and probably some emotional support as well. But right now there's nothing anybody can do except her. Yeah, she probably fortunate to get out with that, as you heard her say cross, and she knew it wasn't a good shot.
This is a pretty simple adjustment. Last time she went a little bit light. The natural reaction is to try and make the next one hook. Pulls down on a little bit, comes across, leaves a 310. This is a challenge here.
A couple of different ways to try this. You can try to slide the 3 into the 10 or go in between. So the first open of the match goes against Josie Earnest, and all of a sudden Liz Johnson, coming up with a double, has a 14-pin advantage in the 4th frame. Now, this is a little bit of a change in the format for this year's Queens. This is what they used to do. 4 out of 5 came out of the winner's bracket. We would only take 1 from the elimination. This year, you had just 2 out of the winner's bracket, 3 from elimination, and there was a 4-person roll-off, which only 3 would escape. Liz Johnson was the one of the 3 who got out. And she got, pardon the expression, on a roll, and ended up, Diandra was remarkable at 7:06. She ran and hid from the first match on, Chris, but this is how good this group was. Here's the defending champion and a great bowler, Missy Parkin, couldn't make it.
Yeah, and it was a tough match. Diandra came right off the bat, shot 5-0 for the first 2 and asserted her position as the 3rd seed. And the other 3 were fighting out tooth and nail, came down to a shot in the 9th and 10th frame. Missy was not able to convert, and Liz and Josie were to advance.
That's how Liz Johnson bowled all day yesterday.
Well,
7-1 in match play.
Yeah, and according to our cast, these last 3 shots are all nearly identical. She's a little bit firmer on this left lane and a little bit further right. She knew it was good from the get-go. You stand at the foul line like that, you know you throw a good one.
She lost her first match to Olivia Sandham. And then, oh, brother. Down 34. Sliding a little bit. She got that. She needed that desperately. Wednesday night, ESPN's regular season coverage of the NBA concludes with a doubleheader, beginning with a Kia NBA countdown at 7:30 Eastern. But at 8 Eastern, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul, great bowler, and the Clippers visit Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks. And finally, at 10:30 Eastern, Tony Parker and the Spurs take on Steve Nash and the Suns. The NBA and ESPN, ESPN3, and also live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. To Wednesday night. Now, the Spurs have been a story this year.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw that coming from a veteran team and a shortened schedule.
That is amazing. Leading the double here is Josie Earnest.
Carrie.
It did. This is not her first time bowling under the lights. In 2007, she was on television when she was on an NCAA champion team. But Liz Johnson is the real veteran of this match. 4-time major winner, and she has taken command halfway through in the opening match of the USBC Queens.
When I spoke to Josie before the match, she was so cute. She said, I don't even want to think about what's going on over there in the TV pair. I'm just here to bowl, and at any time I think I could beat anybody in a one-game match. She looks like she's been here before. She doesn't look like a new bowler.
No, she said just the one appearance. However, she was at the U.S. Women's Open in her first appearance last year. This is her first Queens. She shot a 300 at the same house, by the way, the Euless Lanes in Euless, Texas, a few minutes from here, where we had qualifying for this event. Liz Johnson seeking a 5th straight. No trouble. Brother. She makes it look so easy.
I mean, you sat for about 3 minutes there in the break, and I think that's the hardest shot to make, is the one right out of the break. As you can see, she looks right down at the foul line when she throws it. Perfect, splitting the 8-9, all 10 back.
Josie Earnest made one mistake, left one crack in the door, and at the moment Liz is tearing the door down. Got that kick on the 7. First woman ever to qualify for a television show against the men. She did that in 2005. 8-year member of Team USA.
Liz and Josie are both throwing the identical balls, a Columbia 300 Omen. The only real difference is Liz is drilled stronger with a taller pin. It makes it flare more. Lets her throw the ball a little bit firmer, and according to our CATS data, she's about 1.2 miles per hour faster on every delivery.
Josie's off a double.
Push, push, push.
Usually when you hear somebody say push, it's not a good thing, but that time it was.
Well, it isn't. It listens. And well timed. Down. She was down 44 there. Pulls it back to 34. She still has an opportunity here. She can shoot 256. Still a huge game, but as you can see there, the max score for Liz right at 290.
Yeah, well, somewhere Wendy McPherson's watching this going, oh, yeah? Well, I shot 714 against Liz and lost because she threw 769 at me in a 3-game set. So, can't ask for more than that.
A great shot. The difference in Josie's drilling is a little bit lower pin and a little bit weaker, so it doesn't flare quite as much, but it rolls hard in the mid lane, and she's getting to roll hard and then roll forward.
Let's go back to 2005 here, Chris. Here's Liz and bowling against Tommy Jones.
That was up in Wyoming, Michigan, and Liz beat me in the first round. The only 2 games I won against her was a 300 and a 290. Very nearly won the title that day.
Ooh, ringer. And a chance for Josie, although, again, Liz Johnson hasn't had one shot, the very first shot that didn't look good. Otherwise, everything else has been
looks nearly perfect. Watch that 6-pin right around the bottom of the 10. Technically, it's about a quarter to a half board light, but when you're standing at the foul line, it sure doesn't feel that way.
Doesn't look that way, that's for sure. We want you to become a fan of the USBC on Facebook and ask Chris Barnes a question. If we use your question on the air, you will win a free high-performance bowling ball courtesy of Storm Products. We'll answer the question a little bit later on in the broadcast. Go to the USBC Facebook page. So Liz's max is now 269. Here in the foundation frame, Josie, after the Open, well, you give her credit. Came back with 4 in a row.
Right there's part of what's made her a 4-time major champion. The foundation frame coming off a spare. You know, if she gets one more strike in the 10th, she can't be shut out. She puts herself in a situation where Josie cannot shut her out. She can strike out for 256. Liz is on a 249 pace. The first one in the 10th and 8 spare would guarantee her a win now.
Imagine throwing a 256 and not advancing. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's gone away. Well, she won't be throwing a 256. That's a tricky shot. 127. Excuse me, 1210.
Yeah, now every shot before this, she's been right around the 9th and a half to 10th board, and this hits the 8th board. And thanks to our CATS data, 6 going around there, leaving the wide. Difficult spare. She's going to hit the left side of the head pin.
She has no choice but to go for it, trailing by as much with Liz up on a strike in the 9th. Beauty. Well done. Her max is now 233.
Shoots this with her spare ball off the left side of the lane there. Head pin off the wall. And just thumps it.
Diandra Asbaty, who's waiting the winner of this match, has got to be going, uh-oh. It's whoever comes out of here is going to be an even tougher out than I thought.
Yeah, I don't think there's any easy outs in this tournament.
No. Yeah, it was pretty good. Yeah, I agree. That's an accurate assessment from Josie Earnest of Nashville. Four-time gold medalist on Junior Team USA, 5 years on that team.
One more strike will put her in the 230s.
just light enough.
Shows you sometimes how critical it can be. The shot ends up in about the right spot. 6, just like Liz, is right around the bottom of the 10. It was a half a board right at the last shot. Gives her a score of 223. And Liz will need, well, virtually nothing in the 10th frame to close this one out.
And Josie seems resigned to her fate, but again, this is her first queen.
She'll just need 3 pins in 2 shots.
She bowled at 223, Chris. It wasn't like she stunk the joint out.
No, I tell you what, you don't see that very often. Your first time on TV, you see way more 160 and under performances than you do just a really solid performance like that.
And you run into somebody who's just on her game at the moment.
Well, it seems that Liz is on her game really all the time.
Yeah, you know, as soon as I said that, I went, when is she off her game? I don't know of any time that's ever happened. What I like about her, Chris, is she's so enthusiastic about the game still. She's done it for a long time. She travels the world. She competes against any and all comers and does it with great gusto.
Yeah, her enthusiasm is a little bit, she masks it a little bit on the lane. She likes to stay low-key, keep herself under control and that, but you don't have to talk to her very long to understand her love for the game and her passion for not only how she plays it, but how she prepares for it.
So one more for a most impressive shot across the bow for the rest of the field here for 269.
A little ball change just to see what's going on for ransom demand.
268. Liz Johnson, an impressive start. Diandra Asbaty awaits Liz Johnson in the next match for the USBC Queens Championship. The 4-time major winner was spot on from almost the very first shot. Coming up, a look at coaching the USBC.
Welcome back to the 2012 USBC Queens presented by Storm.
That is Diandra Asbaty, the number 3 seed. She'll take on Liz Johnson and drop the 268 on Josie Earnest, who had a very memorable first ever Queens, though. Just making the show is a tremendous accomplishment. She bowled very well, but Liz Johnson was just too tough. And we'll get a look at Liz here first. So it's the old argument, Chris, and I know you've had plenty of experience in this format, as has your wife, who's a very accomplished bowler. The theory of, is it better to start where Liz started and run up, or is it better to be sitting where Carolyn Dorin-Ballard is, number 1?
I'd still rather be the top seed because you don't have to go through this murderer's row of competitors, and the lanes change as you go.
And is that an example of the lanes changing right there? That's the first really clunker she's thrown, except for the very first shot.
According to our CATS data and her voice feedback, that was inside a target again. It's the only bad shot she threw in game 1, and she came right back out and did the same thing in game 2. This time, unfortunate not to leave something she could make.
So a little bit of an opening early for the Chicago native and former Nebraska Cornhusker Diandra Asbaty. It's been on the Queens television show once before as the number 1 seed and lost to Kelly Kulik. But it was the way she lost that this is a chance for her to make up for that, and I'll explain in a moment. Wish it did, right smack into the pocket in that seed. And look, losing to Kelly Kulik, by the way, is no disgrace, but she shot a 143, and that has bothered her for a while.
Go back and look at Diandra's style now. She switched to a 4-step approach not too long ago, and she said it really keyed up her timing, let things get a little bit freer, and she wasn't getting the ball in the swing so inconsistently.
What about her keys?
Well, her key here is just to take advantage of what the other 4 girls are all playing to the right of her. She needs to be able to take advantage of that hook to her right, combined with the oil that's fresh in the middle of the lane. She's chosen a marble pearl, a low RG high def ball to try and do that with.
Got a kick on the 7th, and she opens with a double.
Watches this one, mixes things up. Head pin goes to the wall and just touches the 7 on the way by. She knew she got it just a little bit right, but good execution and good leverage at the fouling will give you just a little bit more area in the lane.
And one thing about Liz, with her experience, it's very quick. She can make adjustments very, very quickly. And we asked her, is bowling still fun for her?
To bowl, whether it's against the guys, against the women, day in and day out. And the fact that I still love to bowl, as long as I stay physically fit and, the sport is still fun for me, I'll bowl every single day. Push. Thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. She comes right back off of leaving that 4-6 and doubles.
That was, well, an older term, the high hard one. So, got it in a little bit, missed it at the bottom just a touch, and was able to get it to hold.
That's what Diandra did. She went through the elimination bracket and defeated Leanne Hulsenberg, who was the reigning U.S. Open champion, among others.
Push, push.
Asking for a lot of pushing from these two, and so far it's working extremely well.
Well, and this is what Diandra should have, really. By being able to play deeper on the lane than the rest of the competitors, she should have a little bit more oil to her left. The players are breaking down the right around the 8th, 9th, 10th board. She should be able to throw it to that area and get it to hook off of it and create where Liz has a couple of board area, probably. Diandra should have at least one extra.
That's what we talked about a little bit earlier in the 2007 Queens. Diandra looking for her first major championship. She does have 2 PBA Women's Series titles. Everything she's asking for right now, she's getting. We show her husband, John. And I don't see young Madden there tonight. He is coming up, I think, on 2. As a matter of fact, her last television show, when she bowled mixed doubles with Brian Voss, she was expecting.
Yeah, but Madden's now 20 months old and changed her perspective a little bit, gave her a little balance.
Oh, got a big break there. That 9-pin got decked. A little bit off from the way she was in that first game.
Well, that omen and that strong cover on that omen is starting to dig in a little bit. You can see that one pick up in the front. 4-inch 2-pin came back across to knock out the 9. Leave only the 4. Gonna have to make about a 1-board adjustment with her feet the next time on that lane.
Well, Chris, I know you love baseball, as I do. This week, ESPN and ESPN2 have a couple of great games. First, Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. Albert Pujols and the Angels, Evan Longoria, and the Rays. SportsCenter will be seen in Los Angeles and in Tampa. Then Sunday night at 8 Eastern in ESPN. It's a rematch of last year's AL Division Series as the Rays visit Josh Hamilton and the Rangers. Both games are available on ESPN3 and also live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. And from this building, you can walk to the Rangers Park. And to see Josh Hamilton hit, you ought to walk a long way. And to see Liz Johnson bowl, you ought to walk a long way. She comes right back with a strike in 5.
Oh, this is a great shot here. Already in early trouble, down 30. According to Cat's data, that's right at the 7.8 board. She's been living in that area most throughout the game 1 and 2 now. Got to settle in. Now, so far, Diandra's been a little bit quick with everything. It's coming off her hand just a little bit early. That's why she's asking for it to push. See if she can settle down now with a lead and throw her best shots.
Is that a product of nerves? A lot, and she's fortunate to get something very makeable in a 2-5, ending her on the strikes in 4 in a row.
You call it nerves or adrenaline, or, you know, I don't think she's scared of anything, but there's no way around. This environment's just different. Now this time, this ball was about 2 boards right, actually 2.5 boards right of her last shot on that lane. Now the first one was in a little bit. This was on the right side of it. Fortunate just to leave the 2-5. told I'd rather just leave the 2-pin.
Well, truth be told, you'd rather not make it like that.
Well, and that's exactly why. The 2-5 is just not that hard to chop. Even with a spare ball here, there's still a little rotation, and it started to pick up just at the end.
Yep. Snuck away with some. Found $20 in the couch.
30-pin lead through 5.
That came in from a long way. Diandra Asbaty, looking for her first major championship, has a 30-pin advantage on a 4-time major winner in the great Liz Johnson. Second match of the USBC Queens will continue when we return to Arlington in mere moments.
We are back to the 2012 USBC Queens, and I am unfortunately with the loser of match number 1, Josie Earnest. Josie, unbelievable bowling. You looked like a pro out there. You looked so relaxed. Unfortunately, Liz got a head start on you in the striking.
Yeah, she bowled an unbelievable game. You know, 260 is pretty hard to beat. I don't know if I would call myself relaxed. I, might have played the part pretty well, but I was pretty nervous the whole game.
Oh, no, you looked great. Now, what will you take from this experience as you leave?
It was really just teaching myself how to calm everything down, slow everything down, because, that was probably the fastest game, or felt like the fastest game I've ever bowled. But it'll definitely be an experience that I can utilize in the future.
Well, I know we'll see you again. Good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you, Dave.
Great bowling, Josie. You were nodding when she said it seemed like the fastest game in the world.
After this first time you get on TV, you can't believe that you can bowl 10 frames in about 90 seconds.
And Liz is not a very deliberate player. There are some who, everybody has their own style. There's no one way to do this. We'll see Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, for example, very deliberate player. There is a shot clock in play here, by the way, and players will be fined. And she says, you know what, I don't want to know. Just take care of it. We'll talk later. Liz Johnson, a little bit quicker. Doubtful that she'll ever have a shot clock violation. And Liz Johnson again coming out of the break. Strikes.
I tell you, it absolutely is the hardest shot, and you see it consistently. The player struggled on that very first shot. Her speed is identical to the 4th frame on this same lane, right over the 8th board. Perfect delivery. I assume she made a little one-board move off her last pitch on that lane.
So was it 7.9 instead of 7.8? Because I've never heard of the 7.8 board. I got to tell you.
It's really hard to pick up from the foul line, too, as a matter of fact. But the stat stat is very accurate.
Push.
No.
Oh, man.
What happened here?
Yeah, and this is only about a board inside a target, and that's how much shot maker Liz is. A board off of target, and it equals about 3 more at the pins. It turns into a big 4. Just when she crawled back into this match at 20 pins down, a chance to cut down the lead. Diandra back up by 35.
This is when that cliche of staying in the moment if you're Diandra. Don't start thinking I've won, because the minute you do that, oftentimes you make a mistake.
Coming from the voice of experience here, it's very important to just focus on the simple things. One process, hit your target. Keep doing it until they tell you you're done.
You really thought her last shot was outstanding. Did she get away with one here?
Just a little bit, but she is getting her hand underneath it right now, and she's starting to really catch at the bottom. She missed a few shots earlier. That one wasn't really that far left. She just caught it at the bottom, and she'll make a little bit of moves. Got some of the breakdown that Liz had, I think, the frame before. This is not good news for anybody coming up to bowl her next, though, because she looks like she's starting to settle in. Any thoughts of that previous one 140 game from our, yeah, those are all gone now.
She's beaten that. Stefanie Nation is the winner of this, number 2 seed. Got away with one through the nose that time. By the way, we're talking about deliberation and shot clocks and all that. Diandra has already had 2 violations. She does not want to be told. Some players were told right away. She has asked the folks in charge of the shot clock, again, talk to me when I'm finished, and we'll talk. And I'll pay what I have to pay. First as a warning, there are fines afterwards. So she's going to be out some tip money. Good indeed it was. For bowling news from around the world, plus great tips and video, log on to the new and improved bowl.com, the official website of the United States Bowling Congress. And there is everything in the world of bowling. Youth, professionals, leagues, everything is in there. So take a look at it, bowl.com.
Again, on this 41-foot, 2.5 to 1 ratio sport compliant pattern, both players using pin-up balls. By putting the pin up above the fingers, you let the ball flare more, creates a little bit more overall motion.
The problem there for Liz Johnson, whose max is 223, and there you see the 7.8 board and the miles per hour.
Here you see the picture perfect position that Liz has at the foul line. Posts up every shot. Trademark of hers, one of the reasons why she's the best, one of the best shot makers in the game.
Look out. And she was so good in the first game when she bowled 268. What has changed?
Well, she's had a hard time on this left lane. It's just a little bit tighter down lane for her, but she comes right over the top of it again. It's the same shot we've seen now 4 times over the 2 games, but unfortunately for her, 3 times in this game.
And she smothers that. She knows she's in big trouble and running out of time. The foundation frame in game 1, she blasted the pins. This time she has to convert a baby split. Her max is down to 203. And if you want to do your Bo Burton bowling math?
Yeah, Diandra needs virtually nothing here. She needs 9 on this shot.
That's exactly what she got.
No trouble at all there, but the interesting thing is watch the 6-pin, second pin from the right. And almost nothing hits it as it falls straight over. That doesn't happen very often. You have to create quite a bit of angle to cut the 3-pin off that clean and barely hit the 6. You leave that flat at 10, it also sends a signal that you need to make an adjustment to get your ball to go through the pins.
So Diandra Asbaty has moved on. She's defeated Liz Johnson and will advance to the next match against Stefanie Nation in our stepladder format. And we're going to have in championship match 1 player looking for her first major championship against Carolyn Dorin-Ballard. Good luck with that, by the way. That's not going to be easy. Neither Diandra or Stefanie have won a major yet. Physically talented players. Diandra has been on Team USA for 14 years, so it's not she's not a novice at this at all. Junior Team USA for a couple of years, so she's extremely experienced. And as Chris mentioned, bowling a little bit different outlook on life now that she's a mom of a young Madden. That goes to the winner. The tiara will be presented by our defending champion, Missy Parkin, who's finished 6th, almost made the show again.
Really difficult to do in this format where qualifying doesn't play a huge role, although this year they got a bye.
Oh, by the way, it's not just all about the beautiful bowling ball and the tiara. That's nice, but the $20,000 doesn't hurt. Liz Johnson will pick up $5,000 for her outstanding performance. And it'll be Stefanie Nation and Diandra Asbaty next. Nice way to go out. When you win a game here, you win a game. A 268 won the first game, a 233 wins the second game. Big smile from Diandra Asbaty, and why not? She is moving on. Her Queens experience, her second one, going a lot better than her first one did. On television, anyway. And Liz will finish out. Hometown, Niagara Falls, New York. Chickawaga, Buffalo area. And the 4-pin refusing to give her the big finish she deserves.
Talk about good friends, though. Her good friends, Carol Norman and Donna Connors, they drove all the way up from Houston and brought her a couple of bowling balls. Where Carol drills her bowling balls, a former PWBA champion. About a 4.5 hour drive, dropped some stuff off, and she used a couple of those balls during the week.
And Diandra can enjoy this for a little bit. Do you allow yourself a little moment before the next match to go, okay, way to go, Chris, or not?
I personally prefer to just stay in the moment as much as I can and try and stay in that same frame of mind rather than try and follow the ups and downs. It's hard to reset sometimes.
Well, Diandra Asbaty comes out and rolls a solid 233. Will she get that first major, or will it be Stefanie Nation who's going to move on to the championship match against Carolyn Dorin-Ballard? When we return, we'll show you a look inside this beautiful and unique ITRC. Welcome to Arlington, Texas, and the USBC Queens. I'm Dave Lamont along with Chris Barnes. The first major on the women's bowling calendar. This one happened in match 2. Liz Johnson got off to a bad start, could not recover, but how about the solid mistake-free bowling from Diandra Asbaty, who bowls Stefanie Nation next. Well, this building we're in today serves a lot of different functions. Science lab, the proving grounds, the ITRC is turning heads all across the bowling world. It's a facility unlike any other. The International Training and Research Center is the focal point of the governing body of the sport of bowling, as USBC tests it all for the good of the game.
Yeah, this place is great because we can simulate any center from virtually around the world. Not only that, but we're testing balls and pins as well as lane oils, lane conditioners, cleaners, lane surfaces. We do all that here, and that's really important because we need to make sure that it's a fair game for everybody.
It also serves as the home to Team USA. The national team has a dedicated facility for training, and the athletes feel that their home base gives them an edge.
This place is awesome. We have a gym. We have the best coaches in the world. We have these lanes that we can put down any pattern whenever we want to and practice on it, get instant feedback with all of the technology. It just makes us really tough to beat.
And the Team USA coaches are available to individuals and teams from all over the world.
If you can get that pin to turn sideways, it's going to be easier to pick up that 10 pin.
From collegiate teams to league bowlers, everyone is utilizing the state-of-the-art bowling science.
What makes us different than any other place in the world is the technology in this facility. We have pan, tilt, zoom cameras, which let us program them to go zoom into any part of the bowler's game. We have motion capture. We have ball tracking. We have accelerometers now that we actually measure how fast a portion of the body's traveling. And then we have our goggles, our eye-tracking goggles, that we can actually see what a bowler's seeing. So it's almost like we're actually in their head, looking through their eyes and seeing what they're looking at.
And there's certainly plenty to see at bowling's most impressive address. And if you would like to bring your team to take advantage of this amazing facility, there are opportunities available for all skill levels. Visit Bowling ITRC, that's all one word, bowlingitrc.com to learn more. Diandra Asbaty right there in the foreground trying to win her first major, but so is Stefanie Nation. That match is next, and then the winner will take on Carolyn Dorin-Ballard for the USBC Queens, the tiara, and the $20,000. Two ladies looking for their first major, trying to get closer to it next.
We are back to the 2012 USBC Queens, sponsored by Storm. And I am once again with Carolyn Dorin-Ballard. Familiar face, it's like looking in the mirror. Now, you've had a chance to watch the girls practice. You just threw 4 practice balls on the pair. Is your game plan going to remain the same? Do you see any changes?
Right now, I don't see much of my game plan changing. I've been trying some new balls that we drilled up earlier this afternoon. Still playing the same part of the area, but actually maybe even a little further right. Seems like there's some carry down. So we'll see what happens. I need to make 10 good shots.
In the 10 good shots, though, do you feel any butterflies? Will good memories come back to you?
I'm going to put myself in a good place, and no matter what I do, I'm going to try to have some fun.
Great. Good luck. Dave?
All right, thank you very much, Kathy. On the step ladder, we had Liz Johnson won match number 1 with an impressive 268, but Diandra Asbaty pushes her aside, 233 to 191 now. Diandra Asbaty and the number 2 qualifier, Stefanie Nation. And Stefanie will lead things off. She bowled collegiately at UCF, University of Central Florida. She lives in Grand Prairie, Texas. That's in the hood here, not far at all, neighborhood. And this is the first time she has bowled the Queens on television. And a little bit of a flat 10 to start things off here. She has won a couple of PBA Women's Series titles as well and has been a member of Team USA for 8 straight years. Key, what about some keys for for Stefanie?
Well, Stefanie averaged 227 all the way through match play, out-averaging everyone by over 12 pins a game. She needs to play to her strengths. She's very good at creating a lot of heavy roll and angle down lane while pushing it through the front. She's a very good straight player. I think she can take advantage of that with the other 3 players on the show also playing to the right, and then Diandra being to her left.
Now, Stefanie has some experience in match play with the player directly above her, Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, and Diandra Asbaty. Explain that in a moment. She defeated Diandra 697 to 550, probably the worst set that Diandra had in the entire tournament, but lost to Carolyn 596 to 592 in the match that determined who was number 1 and who was number 2. And that sent the loss to Diandra, or by Diandra, sent her into the roll-off 3 games among 4 players to fill out the rest of our step ladder. And big break there. Instead of a sleeper, she's just going to have to deal with the 8 solo.
As you watch this one, it crosses the arrows just a little bit right of where she wanted it to. The head pin goes to the wall, comes back around, hits the 4, which goes into the 2. Nothing hits the 8 to crumble the bucket, though. But some 9s are better than others. It's much nicer to shoot an 8 pin than a 210.
Every one of our bowlers on this program is successful in college. Liz Johnson bowled college 1 year at Morehead State, was the MVP. Josie Earnest, 2-time national player of the year and national champion. Diandra Asbaty, we're watching now, 2-time national champion. Stefanie Nation, outstanding at UCF. And Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, 3-time All-American and 2 national titles. However, she wasn't player of the year. So.
Well, yeah, obviously the underdog. There you go.
That's what you expected from her.
Well, and that's her ace shot right there. It comes off her hand at a different rev rate. It was 30 points higher, according to our cat stat, in the shot before it. That's the really good one.
Same equipment then from the last game?
Yeah, she's using a Storm Marvel, the higher pins, a low RG ball, a clean cover. Gives her some mid lane and a lot of back end reaction. Plays right into her strengths as well.
Wide right.
Stefanie likes to hang loose a little bit, but it's awfully tough to do when you get on television. Those first couple of shots, you get moving a little bit fast. When she gets going a little bit forward, comes off her hand early like it did the first shot, online, but not quite where she wants rev rate wise. That one she got forward a little bit earlier and it got lost it to the right. I expect her to settle down, though. This is a free shot for her to settle down, get her feet back underneath her, and then the third frame will be a good shot.
No problem in covering that. Well, Stefanie Nation understands as well as anyone as she seeks her first major championship how difficult this format is to capture the major.
Queens has been my toughest event that we've ever had. The format is really challenging. You know, you can bowl well all week and you get 2 bad crosses and you're out. So I think the format is what makes Queens probably the toughest event that we have.
did. 10 straight back. And the first strike for Stefanie Nation.
What's up?
And that will settle her nerves. Now she gets into a little rhythm. It's all based on upper body position for her. She gets going and she gets too far forward, loses her leverage, and then shots go offline. She stays back and stays centered like that. Really good.
And the messenger is not going to make it in time.
We saw this just a little bit earlier, right at the end of her last match, where the 6-pin was having a hard time getting out of the gutter and hitting the 10. Her ball's not getting enough traction. It's not going through the pins quite enough. One of Diandra's strengths is she's pretty good with speed control. She can get slower and open up the lane more. The question is whether the lanes have opened up enough to catch the ball as she throws it to the right yet.
No trouble with that single pin conversion. Well, Wednesday night, ESPN's regular season coverage of the NBA concludes with a doubleheader. It all begins with the Kia NBA Countdown at 7:30 Eastern, and at 8 Eastern, Blake Griffin, Chris Paul and the Clippers visit Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks. And finally, at 10:30 Eastern, Tony Parker and the Spurs take on Steve Nash and the Suns. The NBA on ESPN, ESPN3, and also live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. It's Wednesday night.
Got a chance to bowl with Chris Paul once in his event. One of the nicest, most grounded guys for a superstar you'll ever see.
Look, it did. Her bowling ball is doing a pretty good job of listening.
It's nice when they mine like that.
How about that? Does that happen all the time?
But this is a product of being in great position at the foul line. She does get it further right than she has at any other point. And it makes a bigger move through and cut through them that time. That will relax your nerves as well.
Oh, that won't. 4, 6, 7. Now, she's missed wide right earlier. This time she goes right through the nose.
Yeah, she got this one. She actually kind of double-crossed herself with her feet. She got going and came over the top of it with her left foot and then had no choice but to shut her shoulders down to get it back on line. A rare mistake for her. She has great footwork and great position at the foul line most of the time.
Just hammer those 2 pins for the count and hope for the best. Well, Stefanie is quite the athlete. Earlier this year in January, she ran the Disney Marathon in Orlando. That's an area that she's very familiar with. She went to college. Earnest from there. Now she's training. A lot of time left. Come on. And she's right. There is a lot of time left. She's training to do the half marathon and the marathon in the same weekend.
Yeah, I've often thought about that same thing.
I'll be happy to drive 26 miles with anyone. And I'll run the .2. Maybe.
We're talking about the Wii, right?
Beautiful.
There we go.
Come on.
Close match. We kind of expected this. Both these ladies trying to get the first major championship. They've got glittering resumes. They've been successful at Team USA level, successful at regional level. They're winners, but everybody wants that tiara.
So far, we're looking for our first strike on the right lane now in frame 5 of the semifinal match.
Okay, there you go. Here's Corbett Austin as Vice President of Operations of Storm, sponsor of our event. Also, I do want to give a shout out to the AMF Euless Lanes, our friends just down the road here who provided the qualifying house, and a particular shout out to every bowling house around the country who has our telecast on. We thank you for keeping an eye on our sport. Good shot is right. It's pretty interesting, some of the commentary that we're getting from the players themselves. Diandra Asbaty knew that shot was good, and it gives her 3 strikes in a row and a leg up on Stefanie Nation for the right to play Carolyn Dorin-Ballard and the right to play for $20,000, the tiara, and the USBC Queens title. There's your situation halfway through match 3 at the USBC Queens. Diandra Asbaty, the number 3 seed, in control of her match with Stefanie Nation, who paid the price for a bad shot in the 4th frame. Let's go over to Kathy's corner. Kathy Doran-Lizzie with our 4th place finisher, Liz Johnson.
Liz, you started out on fire. I thought for sure we were going to be presenting you with Queen's title number 2 tonight. What happened?
For as good as I bowled the first game, the second game I wasn't making shots. You know, I made maybe 5 good shots, and my bad shots I paid for.
Did you find the lanes were close enough this week here as they were at the other place?
Yeah, I was playing them pretty close. I was using a little different ball that rolled up a little sooner. Other than that, I played everything pretty much the same.
Physically, you feel good?
Yeah, physically, I feel really good. I mean, I felt good about everything.
You look great as always. Congratulations. Great
Thanks a lot, Kathy.
Dave?
Thank you both very much, Liz Johnson. Outstanding bowling. No question. She'll be back. Stefanie Nation now trying to overcome a 34-pin deficit. As Chris mentioned earlier, in match play, she averaged 227.5. Got it. A little extra punch in that one.
A ball we've seen a lot today already. Another Columbia 300 Omen. A very strong cover. Another high pin to flare. And this one just explodes at the pins. Finally getting on track just a little bit.
Cutting the deficit to 24.
You can see that pin right over the ring finger. That's probably about 4.5 inches, maybe 4 inches from her access point. That allowed the ball to flare as well, creating some length, a lot of flare, which will continue for a long time through the pins.
Roll.
Knocked the bucket out, but still, the 2-4-5 remains for Stefanie.
According to our cast status, just a little bit more than a half-board right of the last shot, which was almost perfect. I'll tell you that the lanes seem to be opening up more for Diandra as a power player than they are for the girls that are playing more direct.
How do you think that might affect the next match should Diandra advance?
Well, they're not going to get harder from Diandra at this point.
Okay.
She's going to have to move a little bit, but as long as she can keep up the moves, it's pretty simple for her. Carolyn will have to navigate through a lot more traffic with the other 3 players in front of her, and it doesn't seem to be getting a lot easier for them right now.
Take a look at what Diandra has done vis-a-vis left versus right in her match and a half, or match so far.
Now, my experience through Team USA camps and different things here, most of the time the left lane, when you're playing out, is the harder lane. But we've seen more players, which Liz did struggle in the left lane, but for Diandra, it's almost flipped to where the right lane has been her tougher lane.
A kick, save, and a beauty on that 10-pin. All right, here is our special Storm Watch and Win code. Go to bowl.com/Queens and enter the code for the chance to win free Storm merchandise. There it is, right there on your screen. And that's a beautiful tiara, a beautiful trophy, and also a nice check that goes along with being a major champion. $20,000. Just smothered that 4-pin. Swatted that thing aside.
It's pretty interesting to note the 2 different strategies. While the straight players are having a hard time getting the ball to hook on that left lane on lane 7, which we've seen a lot through our camps. Diandra, on the other hand, her ball is hooking more on the left lane. They talked in the break with her reps, Dorin-Ballard and Chris Schlemmer, about moving a little bit left. She moved 1. She's going to have to move another one here pretty soon, or she's going to go high in that lane.
5 straight strikes for her. And Stefanie Nation gets the 10 to go down. Last year's U.S. Women's Open had it all. The largest crowd ever to attend a bowling competition, the largest venue ever in U.S. bowling history at Cowboy Stadium, an incredible competition culminating in a win by Leanne Hulsenberg. She hadn't won in over 10 years. But even she was overshadowed by the antics of her 2-year-old son, Barrett. He became a national sensation and made for a great event. So how can you top that this year? How about an outdoor competition under the Reno Arch? The competition gets underway. Yeah, the Reno Arch. June 21st, televised finals on ESPN2. July 3rd at 8 o'clock. That is going to be outrageous. That is a Greek church. And that might do it.
Yeah, that will end Stefanie's day, unfortunately. This is just a little bit of move right off the light shot last time. She liked it off her hand, and according to Cat's data, it was a really good shot as well for the Greek church. I think for Carolyn to have any chance, she's going to have to move into the track, into that area between the 10 and 15, where she's crossing the arrows around the 12th board. She's going to have to take all her touch, because it's going to be mano a mano, I guess, to Diandra's power from the same spot. Now we're going to see a ball change by Diandra. She's going to get a little bit different look at something else. This is going to be a critical theory by roto grip.
At this point, her score doesn't matter. She's already moving on.
She's looking for something to solve the combination on that right lane, and that ball is trying to hook back through the pin, so that's what she's looking for.
So she gets a 6th straight strike as a bonus, and she will take on Carolyn Dorin-Ballard in our next match.
Trip the 4, right into the 9.
Everything going her way right now.
She might need to save just a little bit of that. Got a pretty cagey veteran coming next.
She has got it going on right now. Well, Diandra, we mentioned the top first match. She got on the show in 2007, was the #1 seed, lost to Kelly Kulik, but in doing so rolled a 147. So we had a chance to ask her, what did she learn from that very difficult experience?
It would mean everything. All of the hours of practice that I've put in, all the coaches that have helped me along the way. I'm not here because of putting myself in this position. I'm here because of all of the help that I had along the way. So, you know, winning this title means lots of people win this title, because it's because of them that I'm able to be in this position.
At this point, she could throw a marble down there and knock down 10. She could end up with a 270 here.
It's a little more aggressive cover and allowed her to move a little deeper in the lane. This is not great news for CDB, that she's getting a few free shots to line up.
So I guess the big discussion in between, my goodness, this is just ridiculous. The big discussion now for her and her ball reps is going to be, what are we going to roll in that championship match?
I think she's going to roll the ball she just threw the last couple frames, because it looks so much better on the right lane. If it doesn't strike a couple of times on the left lane, she might go back to that same marble pearl, but she's definitely going to throw it on the right lane, in my opinion.
Stefanie Nation's Queens will conclude with a 3rd place finish, her best ever. This is the first time she's made the Queens television show. She's been on the U.S. Women's Open show 3 times, may well make it again this year when we go into Reno. So a great run for Stefanie has come to an end, and I'm sure her big sister Ruby is watching today. Stefanie very involved in Big Brother's Big Sister, still very proud of her big sister Stefanie.
Does a lot of work, helps out a lot with our charity as well, JDRF. She'll be back full force next Labor Day in 2013 when the Queens happens again.
Just like every time.
In Vegas. Yeah, I think this, great learning experience for her, dealing with the television at this environment, and every reason.
Dad, I'll see you tomorrow.
finish. That'll be a little bit of a better taste in Stefanie Nation's mind there than in the middle where she struggled. But again, she got beat by a 270. Not a lot you can say about that. Diandra Asbaty has been dominant in 2 straight matches. She's going to advance the championship against the veteran, the experienced and successful Carolyn Dorin-Ballard. You think you know CDB? You're going to learn a lot more about one of the great players of all time when we return. The USBC Queens Final is coming up. Inside the International Training and Research Center of the United States Bowling Congress in Arlington, Texas, the championship match for one of 2 women's majors on the calendar is about to begin. And Diandra Asbaty, look at that finish, striking from 4 right through the end with a 270 to defeat Stefanie Nation, who finishes 3rd. And there is Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, the veteran. Here you see what she's done. The 2001 Queens, 3 career majors. And we show you a little bio blast of Carolyn and her incredibly successful career in bowling and what she's doing now. Member of the USBC Hall of Fame, 3 majors, 23 professional titles. She is now the USBC Director of Coaching Certification and Development and has been on Team USA 4 times. 2001 was a particularly dramatic and interesting year for her. In 2001, she won the Queens, and at the time there was a women's tour, and I really wish there would be another one, and perhaps one day we will get one. But she won 7 titles. She just thrashed everybody, broke or tied 11 records, made 18 straight TV finals, and received an ESPY nomination for Outstanding Bowling Performance. But it was a year with highs and lows.
You know, it started out fantastic. I mean, I win the Queens. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. I bowled, you know, it's so funny because you just think back. I mean, it just became a blur. Like each week, it was just like, I have to bowl good, just get back into the routine. You know, you make the show, get on to the Pro-Am the next day. Phenomenal year, won 7 tournaments. I made, I think, 18 shows in a row. But in the middle of it all, my father passed away in August of that year, unexpectedly. We knew he was sick, but that was kind of a reality check, you know, because he was the one that always was the one, you can do it, Cara. I know you can be Bowler of the Year. I know you can do it. That's okay. You've come in second. You can do it. And it was that year that I was Bowler of the Year. I don't know. It's just kind of strange how things happen. But I think, and it's like days like yesterday where I think back and I say, my God, one of the great things about bowling is that you can do it at any age and for a long time if you keep competitive and you keep yourself in the game. And that was one of the things that he really taught us was if you work hard and you really want to be good at something and you give the time, it'll work out for you. And the other thing was, make sure you always look good, because if you bowl bad, at least you looked good.
And it was a year bittersweet. We laughed, we cried, we celebrated, and we mourned. No matter what was going on, though, Carolyn always managed, we don't know how, to be the last one standing. As a competitor, I envy her talents. As her sister, I am in awe of her greatness, and I have been blessed to be related to someone who possesses so many special qualities, and I always think she looks nice.
Thank you, Kathy. We have the championship match coming up next. Can CDB add one more major, or will it be Diandra Asbaty? What a great match this is going to be coming up for the USBC Queens. Asbaty looking for major number 1. Dorin-Ballard for number 4. Who will wear the tiara?
Welcome back to the USBC Queens, presented by Storm. Are you ready? I am. Let's get the ball rolling.
go. We began with Liz Johnson defeating Josie Earnest. Then Liz was taken out by Diandra Asbaty. And then Diandra Asbaty drops a 270 on Stefanie Nation to earn her spot in the USBC Queens presented by Storm Championship match against woman known universally in the bowling community as CDB, Carolyn Dorin-Ballard from Keller, Texas. And Diandra will begin.
All right, an early strategical choice is that Carolyn's going to make Diandra finish on the lane she's struggled more on so far.
I think struggle is a relative term tonight for Diandra. She is just rolling. She struck 4 through 10 straight through in her last match, even while making a ball change. And then drops a quick strike in here to open the match. Of course, Carolyn married to Ballard, Hall of Famer. He is here tonight. Sometimes we'll keep score for us, but he's going to, he's working as a ball rep this evening. Well, why not? Mixed them up.
For the classic style of Carolyn Dorin-Ballard, this is what you teach everyone. You want that shoulder high backswing just as her foot gets in front of her head. You want the arm swing to be perfectly level right there. She comes through it, back foot down, which keeps her head from getting too far in front of her knee. Once you get too far in front of there, you lose leverage and accuracy.
The other thing about Carolyn is she is an incredibly tenacious competitor, and you mentioned that focus is a big key for her.
Well, at this stage of her career, it's really easy to start thinking about how many more times I'm going to have a chance at this. You know, I've been here before. There's lots of baggage sometimes and some good things too. But staying in the moment and making your best shots.
Get out it did. She opens up with a double. Well, she had an interesting conversation with us yesterday about that very same subject. She's pretty much done it all in bowling. And she begins to wonder, and with, you know, her husband has battled some health issues, and that has affected them the past couple of years. And there's Dell right there, and he's doing well, by the way. And we've been battling cancer for a couple of years, but seems to be on the right road. That'll affect you, much as we talked about Diandra having a child and how that's changed her. And hasn't changed her bowling, though. My goodness. So we're off here. All right, here's our Facebook question, Chris. This is for you. With the exception of Diandra Asbaty, it doesn't appear the girls who crossed a lot of boards did well this week. Why? Chris Carter, congratulations, by the way. You are a winner.
Well, over in the other bowling center, it was a higher lineage center with HPL lanes versus these Pro-Am lanes. They hook a lot more. It forced the ones that hooked it to play much deeper on the lane. The players that played straighter were able to play in the 12-13 range where Carolyn is now, and had plenty of hook, and they were able to create more area and keep the ball in line from pair to pair. As they moved to the pairs in the middle of the house, there was a lot of players that did hook it a lot, but they got eliminated on a few of the pairs in through there.
After what seemed like a half an hour, she finally didn't strike.
It's a lot of good shots in a row, and that's going to be the key. Is that left lane for her looks like it hooks much more. It hooks probably 2 to 3 more. She's got to keep moving left. There should be plenty of fresh oil there. She's just got to get there. It's a great tip for those at home managing anxiety. She takes a couple of deep breaths, at least a couple of deep breaths before every single shot. Helps relax her body, gets rid of some of that fight or flight instinct that you get.
You realize she threw 11 straight strikes over the end of the last game to the beginning of this one? As you see with Carolyn Dorin-Ballard's done such a tough match play player, always has been. She was 8th after qualifying, but she did not lose in match play and defeated Stefanie Nation to earn the #1 seed on the show.
She's grinded her way through.
She always does.
A lot of good shots, got down to the 9th and 10th frame, and just turn into a shot maker's thing at the end, which is her strength.
Yep, no break on the 10 pin.
Talking with her husband, Dell, their strategy was indeed to move a little bit left of where the other Stefanie and Josie had played, and Liz as well. She's crossing right around the 13th board, which our CATS data shows. This time leaving a flat 10, but she's using a crossroads, a little higher RG ball. She's trying to get the ball to float through there and hope that it saves enough energy to change directions down lane. She knows Diandra's going to have more area in the lane. She's got to try and make better shots to overcome that.
Chris, one of the things that's happened over Carolyn's career as you go down the road is you change some things.
Yes, before this year, she started to get a little bit of tendonitis in her middle finger, so she went from a pitch where you see on top that she had under, so her fingers went back underneath the ball. Now she's going away with those pitches. Lets her hand lay flatter on the ball. The end result, it takes a lot of pressure off that middle finger. For a ball roll, it means now she projects it down the lane rather than trying to pitch it up and make it hook.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, that finger was so bad, she couldn't bowl hardly. The bowl now, though.
And inadvertently, it reminds me of her form more like in 2001 when she had that dominating year. She wasn't trying to make it the ball hook then. She was projecting the ball down the lane. Her ball had more energy, and she found a way to tickle the pins down by just good shot making and good ball roll at the proper time. She started trying to hook the ball more, and she actually had a little less success.
This is going to be a great match. It already is off to a wonderful start. This is Diandra 2007 in Charlotte, and that was the 147. Now again, there's Kelly Kulick. That's pretty tough already, but Diandra just had a disaster. She was the #1 qualifier for the event, and it just didn't go her way. And that is something that she told us has motivated her ever since. And instead of making it a negative, she's tried to turn it into a positive.
Well, there's two ways to go from those kind of experiences. You either cower away from going in the same spot again, or you bounce back and make it different. She's determined to make it different.
Ooh, what happened? Well, that's what happened.
Her grip came out of her ball. And stayed on her finger.
It apparently really doesn't matter. If there is a casino nearby, she needs to go tonight.
Well, we talk about knocking the holes out of the ball sometimes, ripping the grips out. Literally. That's amazing she still got that much on it.
When I heard her say, oh no, I thought it was going to go in the channel for a second, and then it ends up going for 10 straight back. So she's got it all going tonight.
Ball rep Chris Slemmer just went to get some glue, going to try and get that grip glued in. Fortunately, with 2 frames there, they should be able to do that with relative ease. 10 down to tie it up.
Come on. Hit it.
Nope.
Shot. Good shot.
Was it a good shot?
It was a good shot. It's actually exactly the same speed as the first 2 shots on this lane. Cross right at 12.8 boards, according to CATS. And but she's going to have to make a little bit of move. You could move just like a half board right with your feet there and try. I think actually she probably needs to get a little bit slower. It seems like there's just so much oil down the lane on that lane that it's not going through the pins.
There's Alyssa, her daughter. Got a great seat in the house here at the ITRC. And there's Dell. And look, that's Chris Barnes back there too, professional bowler. Dell could play.
Oh, no doubt.
Dell could definitely play. So if you're wondering, sometimes when Carolyn sits down and looks over to her right, she's looking at Dell, and in that unique hand language that bowlers have, they can communicate without a word.
Get out.
Yeah. Wow. Got a huge break to break up that 4-7. That might not have been her best shot, but she got it. Carolyn Dorin-Ballard trying to get that second Queen's Championship. It was 2001 that she won her last and had not been on the show. She had racked up some 6th place finishes. She She's the #1 seed, taking on a very determined and very talented Diandra Asbaty, who is rolling it well. Championship match of the USBC Queens presented by Storm. Carolyn, Dorin-Ballard, and Diandra Asbaty. So you may be wondering, what do bowlers talk about during the break, especially in a high-stakes match like this? Well, let's eavesdrop a little bit.
I moved to half and I tried to pitch it, and I thought it would hit it. Actually, it made the move more than them. What do you think I should?
Actually, do that again. It's so good. Stand where you did last time. Don't win.
Okay.
Because I mean, what else is there to do?
Right, and on the
Stefanie thinks the right lane. Stefanie thinks the right lane hits more.
I think the left lane does, and I think the left lane does. And the thing is, on that trip corner, I almost feel like I could go 1-in-1 parallel left because I pulled.
Okay, then do it.
Or just my feet, not my eyes.
And then make.
Yeah, and she went right after that, and they talked about what to do on that right lane with 2 flat 10s. After the first one, she moved to half right. She's going to move another half right on that lane. The 1-in-1 parallel means she's going to move her feet and her eyes 1 left on the left lane, which for her and now Diandra both is hooking more.
Good.
And that's the first big-time mistake. As you take a look at her husband, John, who's a tremendous bowler in college, an All-American himself.
Again, one of the hardest shots to make is the one right out of the break. Shoulders closed down a little bit early. She gets the ball inside a target about 1.5 boards. Cutting through. She was hoping just leave something I can make. The 4-6-10 and turn this match upside down now.
She went from the leader to 5 pins behind, and Dorin-Ballard is on a strike in the 6th.
And she'll have a chance to turn into a 15-pin advantage. Diandra has the better overall reaction, plus she has a couple of games under her belt, but Carolyn has the puncher's chance, so to speak, which in this case is the shot maker's chance.
Yeah. It's always a test to see how you come back from adversity. Fairly well. That's a tremendous shot by Diandra Asbaty in the 7th frame to rally back. Take a look at our friend, the USBC Executive Director, Stu Upson. Huge hockey fan, Stu. You see what Carolyn has done. So the left lane's been her friend. She can go up to 259 max. A lot of reaction on those pins, and the 7 takes a tumble.
Made the little move right with her feet. She actually got the ball a little further right at the arrows too, crossing right at the 11th board. This time tickling him down. The 7-pin being the problem. She has a lot more pins over there trying to take care of that one than she did trying to take care of that 10-pin. So 15-pin advantage. Both girls on strikes. Through 7, 3 frames to go to decide the Queen's Championship.
Which Diandra Asbaty has not won. But CDB has, and it would be her 4th major if she can make it 2 queens. And we mentioned that Diandra has already violated the shot clock. Carolyn knows in advance she's going to violate the shot clock, and it doesn't bother her one bit. 3 violations already.
Yeah.
However, that's 3 strikes in a row either. So she'll violate the shot clock rules all night if she gets out of here with the tiara.
Well, sometimes the hardest thing to do, she knew she was going to make a board move left, is to completely commit to that move and go ahead and make your best shot without doubts creeping in halfway up. That was one of her best shots in the entire match.
So now it's on Diandra Asbaty, who has been brilliant in working her way up the ladder. This is her 3rd match. She has been sharp tonight. Well, this week, ESPN and ESPN2 have a couple of great ball games. First, Wednesday night at 7 Eastern on ESPN2, Albert Pujols and the Angels visit Evan Longoria and the Rays. SportsCenter will be seen in Los Angeles and in Tampa. Then Sunday night at 8 Eastern on ESPN, it's a rematch of last year's AL Division Series as the Rays visit Josh Hamilton and the Rangers. Both games are available on ESPN3 and also live on WatchESPN.com and the Watch ESPN app. Man, is Hamilton dialed in, as well as these two bowlers are.
2 frames to go. Diandra can strike out for 244. Carolyn, 259.
She may have to strike out for the 244. That's John watching, and he's happy about
it. This is 2 great players making fantastic shots when it matters most. Posts it up right here. Moves a little bit further left. She asked it to push, but it really never looked in danger of going high. It's a great ball change. It's worked. She already had the left lane pretty well under control, but the right lane, this gave her all the opportunity to win this match, where I don't think the previous choice would have.
Nope. Stiff. How much do you think what we heard a few minutes ago as we came back helped?
Tremendously. Tremendously. She was already on the right idea, but to have a set of eyes behind you that is that confident and that much experience in itself is almost immeasurable to give you that. He has the worst seat in the house having to watch those shots. I've been there before. But she made a great shot there, leaving a 7-pin. Her max score is now 238. Just hook a little.
Oh boy. All right, got it.
No matter what she does, she cannot shut Diandra out.
And you have got to think that Diandra is so capable of striking out as well as she has bowled. Kathy?
Well, like Chris said, you have 2 great bowlers making excellent shots. The results are the same, but look at how these ladies are getting to the pocket differently. Diandra's A game. She likes to move left and open up the lane. Carolyn would rather stay straighter to the right and go up the back of it and play with her hand positions.
This is the lane where she hasn't missed yet. No, a ringing 10. Wow.
At the biggest moment, she throws her best shot. 6 right around the bottom of the 10. This ball is so close to the shot on the Cats data compared to the last one in that lane, you can't believe that it could be any different result.
Got to stay focused and not let up on this 10. She does not.
She still has a great opportunity to win this title. She needs 8 pins here, really 7 pins here to force Diandra to throw the first strike in the 10th to win.
My bad.
And you know, you bowl for a long, long time. Sometimes you forget. But it's still your turn. So she strikes out for 227.
The real important number here, 7 pins or more.
Okay. That's a pro right there.
Good game.
She's done all she can do. Now she'll sit in the chair and just have to wait it out. What does Diandra have to do here?
It comes down to this. She needs a strike and 7 pins to win the 2012 Queens.
And to be a major champion for the first time in her career.
hook, hook.
Oh, my goodness. There was some doubt in her voice. She can't believe that struck. 7 pins away from the championship.
This shot, though, is exactly the same board and exactly the same speed as her last shot in that lane. She missed it just a little bit at the bottom. That's what all the talk is about at the foul line.
Now, she's got to recover, though. I mean, the reaction, she's in a little bit of shock.
She still needs 7 here.
It is appropriate that she has another strike. She has been brilliant all night. And Diandra Asbaty, her husband John, celebrating. Madden at home is a happy man because Madden's mom is the USBC Queens champion. Diandra Asbaty has picked up her first major, and she was brilliant tonight. Diandra Asbaty defeats CDB to take the Queens to $20,000 a tiara, and she will be a major champion for life. We'll meet her in a moment.
For the tiara, Missy Parkin, the 2011 champ, now the 2012 champion, owns the hardware and the tiara. Diandra Asbaty and the $20,000 check as well with Andrew Kane. Thank you, Andrew, very much. And we'll get Diandra a very big ATM to cash that check. Okay, we just have a couple of seconds here. What is going through your mind right now?
I just can't believe it. I just want to thank everybody that supported me, my family, Madden, Storm, Etonic, Turbo, all the coaches, Jason Belmonte, Ron Hoppy, the International Art of Bowling. I could not have done this without all of their help. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, that's every girl's dream to throw it in the 10th, to win it against an amazing player like Carolyn, who I admired growing up. So I have no words except all those.
We have one word for you. Congratulations, Diandra. You certainly earned it. Diandra Asbaty is the winner of the 2012 USBC Queens. For information on upcoming tournaments, log on the official website at bowlingbowl.com and join us July 3rd at 8 p.m. for the 2012 U.S. Women's Open. Coming up next, E60. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.